Falling dominoes, add 'em up. I'm counting bodies naked in my bones. Never wanted to hurt nobody. I know the monster, it's in my bloodline. It's a sensation, I can't fight it. It's getting harder, maybe not this time. It's a fixation, and I can't fight it. You leave me now, that will be knocked out. The sins that you will count. Try to scream and shout, I can't save you now, so lay the money down. I love again, and when my love loves again, I'll follow. Love again, and when my love loves again, I'll follow. Lifelong criminal, lock me down. I can't help myself, I'm never political. Let me drown, there's always someone else, yeah. I know the monster, it's in my bloodline. It's a sensation, and I can't fight it. You leave me now, that will be knocked out. The sins that you will count. Try to scream and shout, I can't save you now, so lay the burden down. Love again, and when my love loves again, I'll follow. Love again, and when my love loves again, I'll follow. Never enough, where do I run? Always under. Never enough, where do I run? Always under. Never enough, where do I run? Always under. You leave me now, there will be no doubt. The sins that you will count. Try to scream and shout, I can't save you now, so lay the burden down. Love again, and when my love loves again, I'll follow. Love again, and when my love loves again, I'll follow.
You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson,
Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian.
enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Live here on Tuesday night. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Keith Cheatham.
you know, guys, I've been looking at that intro video for quite a while now,
Yeah.
and I gotta tell you something. I'm looking a little fat. I don't think I matched that same picture in that intro video.
Huh. Well,
So
That's kind of like when you use like a really old picture for your Facebook profile
yeah,
photo, like back when you were skinny.
Yeah.
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 That's exactly and that's even before people would claim to take selfies. That was like when you would. I remember I had one that was like an extreme close up, and I even captioned it.
Yeah.
And I was too embarrassed to caption it with like an actual selfie title, because at the time selfies weren't a thing in middle school, high school, circa the mid 2000s.
Right.
So I was just like, me just hanging out with a bunch of friends, and one took this picture. It's like I totally lied. It's like it was totally me in my bedroom trying to capture the best looking photo there was. So you all know y'all been caught doing that.
It's Thanksgiving week, guys. I'm excited.
I know
It is.
It is.
I wanted to say something right here on this podcast.
Right off the top.
Right off the top. 'cause
Is this like serious? Should we all like? Is this?
It's serious for me.
Is this gonna be a Full House moment?
Maybe for me, because I just have to say this because. This has been a crazy year. It's 2020.
It has
You've
been.
seen people from all walks of life, beliefs, political views that have just been hateful towards each other on no matter what your belief is
Very
or
true.
view.
Very
I
true.
mean, from all sides, and it's just been an ugly year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, just all hope was lost.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not.
No,
There
'cause
is some
Joe
little
Biden
bit
is
of decency.
president.
No.
Oh, I know what this is.
There's some bit
I
of
know what he's
decency.
worth.
There's some bit of decency left in the world because Apple relented. They are going to allow the Charlie Brown holiday specials to air on TV.
That's right.
Okay.
PBS.
So morale,
PBS.
yeah, which is fine. I mean,
Oh,
because that
really?
is a station.
Yeah.
Well, that's a station that
I thought
everyone
it was on
gets.
ABC.
It
No.
it used to be on CBS, then it went to ABC, and now Apple's going to let it be on PBS.
PBS, okay.
Which is fine because everybody gets.
Well, I
PBS.
was gonna say,
It's
it's
a free
yeah,
channel.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's for everybody,
So-
and that's exactly what it's
Well,
meant.
good
for.
on them.
You
So
know?
yes, so the Thanksgiving special is going to be on TV. The Christmas special is going to be on TV, and I'm excited.
I'm not gonna lie.
Even though I own them in 4K, I'm
Unedited?
excited.
Unedited.
I always put my Christmas tree up on Thanksgiving, watching the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special.
Are you gonna do that now?
So yeah.
Now that this is
well,
is
I
a
do it
thing?
anyways because I own them on
He
4K.
has
them,
right.
yeah.
I own them, but
But
I'm
did you
excited
do it
for
to the
everyone
broadcast
else.
Yeah.
version?
No,
Well,
I'm just offended that they weren't on TV. It's like that to me. It's like we see holiday specials every year kind of go away.
I agree.
Those and then Rudolph are like the last bastion of like it's just kind of an old mindset and people
Frosty's
don't really
the
have,
one that gets me.
Yeah, well, people don't
When
have
he
that.
when he melts and
It
the
is sad.
kids are sad,
but
he gets that
the
hat.
first
Yeah.
first
That
kiss
corncob pipe.
of that winter wind and he's back.
That's
know,
right.
Santa.
I'm telling you. And nobody knows this.
I love that.
Everybody forgets about this. I'm telling you, I'm gonna find it. I
Yeah.
may try to find it during the review.
Go for it.
Because nobody remembers. I swear, there was this cartoon. It's called The Snowman.
Oh,
Look
yeah,
it
I
up
know
on
what you're talking
YouTube.
about. It's based off of a book.
Yes, it's based
Well,
off
like
a
a
book.
little kid and him like fly or whatever.
Yes, and I loved.
remember
You've
that.
never. Sean's looking at me like
No.
we're nuts.
Yeah. It's based off of a children's book, but they did make it a little animated
and it's got
version
this
of it.
beautiful like music.
I remember
to
watching
it in
it.
the background.
Yes.
Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas is the one that I
That's
always
your
go
go-to. Yeah.
But I'm nervous but still excited because they're remaking that.
I heard that.
But what's his not
It's Henson's son is going to be doing it.
well Brian Henson does everything now
But-
with the Henson Company, but the guy who not Brett, is it Brett McKenzie?
I have no idea.
Yes,
Are you
Brett
talking about
McKenzie.
McKenzie and
yeah,
and-
Brett McKenzie from Flight of the
Jermaine
Conchords,
Clements?
who not
Yeah.
Jermaine.
Okay.
Brett's the one that did the help
They're the
do the
duo,
Muppet.
though, yeah.
They are, but he did all the music for
Yes,
the Muppets
right.
and
for the two
and
movies.
Muppets Most Wanted and everything. He's apparently helping to write and do the music
Oh, heck
for this.
yeah.
So I'm
Heck
like,
yeah.
if he's behind it, I trust.
Maybe.
So.
Yeah.
But again, I can understand
It's
from
just
Sean's
nothing
point
like
of view.
the old thing. Yeah.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you got to leave it untouchable.
You know, one thing
know?
that recently I've watched that I'm really kind of pissed about, talking about nostalgic cartoons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They brought the Animaniacs back,
Yeah.
and I hate it.
Oh, really?
You don't
It is
like it?
woke AF.
Here's the thing.
No, but
I
here's
have
the
not
thing.
seen
It makes fun of both.
It
I
does.
haven't
It
seen
does.
at all.
It does.
But see, here's the thing. I've heard this complaint from both sides. The right hate it because it's too woke. The left hate it because it's
Not
making
woke
fun,
enough?
because it's making fun of
Not
woke
woke.
culture. And I'm like, that's
Yeah,
kind of the
it does
point.
both.
Is it's satirical.
But yeah, but when I'm trying to show it to my 7-year-old, and in the opening title they're talking about gender neutrality and
Yeah.
stuff,
kids
I'm like,
don't know.
well, I don't want him to know.
Yeah, you don't.
I'm just saying,
I
it's
can
like-
kind of agree with. It's like don't shove it right there in the open. Give me a
Yeah,
chance
well,
to
the
at
very
least break it
opening
down.
theme, they make fun of the facts like we're back and we're gender neutral. Like they're making fun
Gender
of like
neutral,
like,
and they have the feminism.
But see, I thought that was
angle, and-
hilarious. I
Yeah,
was
they
like,
got new
that's-
contracts as the song and all
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I'm
I
not
don't know.
into
But
it.
I'd have to see it. I have to see it and
The
kind of
only thing-
review
There's
it.
there's funny
see,
stuff.
you know.
so.
Well, I mean, Animaniacs has always toted that line. They've always been very like
Yeah.
satirical and tongue in cheek, but
Yeah.
usually it's innuendo, like so that kids
Yeah.
can't
It's
understand.
not so in
I
your
feel like
face.
nurse.
yeah, I feel like I
mean,
feel
come
like
on.
this is a little less innuendo, like it's a little bit more blatant, and it's also more cynical, which I don't like. The Animaniacs were never cynical, like they were satirical, but
Yeah.
but they're very like we're just fed up with the world. It's become a terrible place
Yeah.
since we've been gone,
Yeah.
and I'm like that's not the Animaniacs.
Yeah, Pinky and the Brain are more depressing
Yeah.
than funny now.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is very
that's
cynical.
definitely not in the same vein.
That's
as
where
I
my
remember it.
fault with the show is that the
Is this what is this on? Is this
it's on
a-
Hulu.
It's on Hulu. Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can watch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
the only
alright.
other problem I have is, while I don't mind like some of the woke stuff that I think is funny, they're not as even-handed. Like every episode has a Trump jab, and I'm like, I don't care because they made fun of Bill Clinton in the '90s, but it wasn't in every episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally, there's
Well,
every single episode I've
and
watched
again,
so far has had something.
Here's the
about
thing:
Donald
if you're
Trump.
going to have
Yeah.
any sort of making fun of either side whatsoever, you're going to have to do so at the expense of saying, "But we're really still on this side. We just got to let you know."
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We still align with the
It's
with
like
where
the-
we're
yeah.
supposed to.
They are making fun
Yeah.
of both sides, but you can tell which side they land on. Which I mean, can be the case, but it's very, very much like I don't know. I
I'll
feel like
check
they
it
beat
out.
the horse.
I'll check it out and see.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of enjoyed Animaniacs when I was little.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of it went
I
over
also
my
don't like
head,
that it's
but-
only the Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain. None of the other characters or skits. Like it's not. It's just like two segments: the Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain.
Yeah.
They used to have like more of a variety.
Katie
like
Kaboom.
well, yeah, Good
I remember that.
Feathers,
Good Feathers,
Slappy the
yep.
Squirrel. Yeah, they're all. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love.
All right, I
and
got
their
one other
frozen
thing.
nuts. That's
One
that
other
innuendo
thing.
from the original.
I want to talk about, which is I want to give a shout out
Yes.
to a new subscriber,
Okay.
a very awesome person I met this past weekend who is my brother's colleague, where at his place of employment. Not going to tell where that's at.
Okay.
But let's just say he's a public educator, so hats off. Okay, we know how hard they're working right now, especially keeping the kids out of school when they want them back in there to
Yeah.
keep them learning.
And they don't get paid
Yeah.
enough.
There you go. Fight the good fight. But no, I want to give a good shout out to my brother's colleague, Jeff Morning, who subscribed to us, who told me that he absolutely loves mob movies. Like, that's his go-to.
Yep.
He's a huge history buff. And so he was telling me all about the films that he likes. He, not quite a mob movie, but one of his favorite action films from the 80s is Commando. So he threw that name out there and absolutely loves it. But he told me that his favorite all-time mob flick, which he kind of, he almost kind of dissed. I don't want to say dissed. I don't want to throw him under the bus while I'm shouting about. But he said, Scorsese's okay. And he did pick Mean Streets as one of his favorites. So he gave Scorsese his credit.
Yeah.
But he said Killing Them Softly, starring Brad Pitt, is his all-time favorite.
Yeah.
And I have not watched it yet.
I think it's on Netflix right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, then
I just saw it
boom.
recently somewhere.
And then, Sean,
on a streaming service.
you've seen the movie, too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
A good movie?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Boom. All right. Then fine.
Yep.
I'll watch it, and I'll give Jeff Morning my my
better.
thoughts on
better
the
watch it.
on the movie and see if I like it. All right, guys. I think we're finally ready to start our episode because a movie that we've
We've
not
talked about
necessarily killing them softly, but I wish I was being killed softly.
we've talked about a lot of topics prior to the review. Usually we build towards the review. We didn't build towards it at all, and you're going to find out why.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get to our weekly review here on the Red Moon Podcast. Yes, we did it for your sake, so you don't have to.
Right.
Here's our review of Jiu-Jitsu.
Even in normal years, when new film releases haven't been brought to a grinding halt, we at Red Moon encounter weeks where new film choices are scant. Historically, there have been parts of the year where production companies dump their worst movies for release, leaving us scraping the bottom of the barrel for films to review. We have done our best with the theater shutdowns this year to be creative in the films we are currently reviewing. And while not all of them have been winners, they have all had some merit for being reviewed. This week we chose indie flick Jiu-Jitsu, advertised as a bombastic sci-fi martial arts film featuring Nicolas Cage. We apologize. Directed by Dimitri Logothetis, whose filmography consists of B martial arts films, Jiu-Jitsu stars Elaine Moussi as Jake, an amnesiac whose destiny will determine the fate of the Earth. You see, every 6 years, a comet passes over the Earth, opening a portal through which an evil alien named Brax emerges to lay waste to the planet. Luckily, the Earth is protected by a team of jujitsu masters whose duty it is to protect the Earth. Jake must recover his memories and aid the group of jujitsu in defeating Brax. If this sounds like a bad Power Rangers knockoff, don't worry. It's much, much worse. With Nicolas Cage covering all aspects of the promotional material, even if not promoted as the main character, Jiu-Jitsu's marketing team distinctly goes out of their way to make the film seem as if he is the leading presence behind the plot. He is not. In fact, Cage and the film's plot don't show up until 40 minutes into the movie. That's right, we spend 40 minutes wondering what the hell is going on as we follow Jake, the film's bad acting, bad writing, and horrible special effects until we finally get to Cage's character, a jujitsu hermit living in a cave, who finally explains what's going on in the film. Luckily, there are a few fight scenes with Cage as well, but nothing that will save the movie. In fact, for a martial arts movie, the fighting is incredibly boring. We were promised an over-the-top exhibition with eccentric Cage, and while Cage delivers on the eccentricity, it is definitely the best part of the film. It's not enough to salvage the nearly 2-hour waste of time the movie is. Instead of what the film promotes, we receive dull characters and a contrived and boring plot that doesn't even have good action or effects to fall back on. I give Jiu-Jitsu 1 out of 4 stars.
Yeah, there you have it.
Yeah.
1 out of 4 stars. Not one.
I kind of agree.
Yeah, well, that's what we're about to we're about to divulge. Because I'll be honest with you, it's probably the lowest reviewed film I've ever done.
Really?
I'm giving it a half star.
A half? Okay.
Half a star.
I'm kind of I was at 1, but then after I thought about it a little bit more, that's what I was actually coming down to.
Is a half star?
Yeah,
And
I've
I don't
never
like to
given
do that
anything
because we
lower
don't
than a
like
1.
the halves. I just think that kind of a bitch move. But that's really all it's worth.
I've never rated anything lower than 1 so far, so
I don't.
We've never had a 0?
No,
No?
we've had a total bomb.
I don't think I've ever
I'm
given.
pretty
I've
sure-
never officially. Let's pull up Neil's database.
Well, we have
yeah,
to.
we'll have to.
Yeah.
Neil, if
Yeah,
you're watching,
Neil's the one that has all those
get your
numbers.
data out.
He's got to like crunch the numbers for us.
I'd have to pull it out, but
I mean, we got to have better results than election night.
It was absolutely atrocious.
It was bad.
I mean, the whole marketing of the film is centered around Nicolas Cage, who's in the movie for like 6 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
And he doesn't show up till 40 minutes in.
Yeah.
But the plot
And
doesn't
the-
show up till 40 minutes in either.
Even if you saw the cover art, he
Oh,
is
yeah.
the biggest figure on the cover art.
Yes.
is Nicolas Cage.
And that's the thing. I, as soon as the movie was over, and Keith was texting me about the review, and I just immediately said, no doubt they just used him for promotion of this film.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's sad because it's like I even got to the point where there wasn't enough of him in the film, and his character was so bad I just didn't even care. I don't want to see him.
Yeah,
I was like, you know what? Let's just get rid of him. And then there were deliberate points in the film where he doesn't even continue with the gang to move forward, just because for no reason they're just like, you stay back. And he's like, okay. And I'm just like, so
I'm
I
old.
guess they couldn't pay him
and
enough.
I don't do my stunts,
You know, yeah.
so I'll stay back.
It was just absolutely awful. Keith, I guess you care to divulge a little bit more about your review. I know you said, but it was a very short, to the point review.
I mean, I don't know what else. I covered everything. Like, it had horrible special effects, horrible writing, horrible dialogue, horrible acting. I don't think there's any aspect of the film that wasn't horrible other than Nicolas Cage, who was horrible, but he's that campy type of horrible that you wanted to
laugh,
see.
yeah.
Like
Yes.
that's what I was wanting to see. Like, I expected the movie to be bad, but I was expecting like
More from him.
I was
Yeah.
expecting like Nicolas Cage bad, where
Bangkok
like
Dangerous.
like, yeah, like where he's
That kind of bad.
like
Yes.
where Nicolas Cage is going all in because he knows it's
Yeah.
bad, but he doesn't care because he's getting a paycheck because that's all he does anymore is just show up to get a paycheck.
Right.
Yes.
And it's like, I'm okay with that. Except I didn't get that because the movie...
Like, I almost feel like if they would have, and nobody would have watched this if they didn't use him to promote it. But if they would have, I would have been far more interested in this film had I watched it not knowing Nicolas Cage was in it.
Oh, yeah.
And then if he would have shown
Shown
up,
up.
it actually would have boosted it up to probably 1.5 stars.
Really?
But only because I would have been like,
Excuse me.
holy crap, why the hell is Nicolas Cage in this film?
Yeah.
Like, that would have been the only reason. But because I knew he was in it, he wasn't in it enough, and the movie was just garbage. The special effects from the opening shot literally look like a downloaded iPhone app, and you're just easily
Yeah, you know the app where you can like stand there and it looks like you're exploding.
Yes,
like that's what like an overlaid thing.
Yeah,
that's
all
exactly
of
what
these.
it looked like.
It looks like they got After Effects tracking shots, and they just planted those in there.
Not even that. They're using
That's
iMovie.
true. It's so bad. It really was awful. Just god awful. Alrighty, guys. I don't think there's much.
There's
more to
not
say.
much to say about it.
Just don't. You don't need to watch it.
Don't watch it. Don't see it. Like there's so many movies I've given horrible reviews of that I would rather watch. I would rather watch The Happening again than this movie.
Oh wow,
man!
I would
now,
rather.
see, is that one that we'd have to go back and see?
Yeah, because
that was pretty low.
That was well before.
That was
we
the
didn't have the
reviewed.
podcast.
Yeah, that
so-
was.
But I mean, I would watch A Wrinkle in Time again before this movie, and I hated
my
it.
serious?
And I hate it.
I don't know about
I
that
hate-
because it's not even laughable.
But at least it has a plot that you could follow.
This at least had
and-
fighting and stuff in it.
But it had like actual like halfway decent
Look,
writing
hey,
and
hey,
acting.
everybody
I
knows
mean,
about the meme going around with Xbox and the bad graphics with that brute.
Yeah.
And then you have the freeze frame.
Mhm.
The terrible alien in this film.
Oh, yeah.
looks like they literally copied
yeah.
and pasted
There was-
his face onto the alien. In
There
this
was
film.
nothing like I never
It
want to
was
see this movie
god-awful.
again. Like nothing about it entertained me.
Well, see,
it made me fall
one
asleep.
of the things about the alien that I didn't even understand was why he showed his
every
face.
every
six- yeah.
six,
Yeah,
or-
well, no, not even that stupidity, but I mean, like, he would fight, and then all of a sudden he'd show his face,
Yeah.
and then it would go back to where you couldn't see his face anymore, and I was like, what is the point of showing his face
Yeah.
if it's not? It never played into the story at all.
Even
like I didn't.
just the terrible, god awful. Like, okay, he just wants. Are you finding some info?
I was pulling up. I got his spreadsheet, so I was trying to see what our lowest rating. Is.
Oh,
You
okay,
keep
okay,
going.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So basically, yeah, I just the fact that he shows up looking for a good fight and he's picking like the world's best jujitsu fighters, and that's, I mean, straight up like a ripoff of Mortal Kombat in
Yeah.
the worst possible way.
Yeah.
And
And
1995 did a way better job of showing martial arts in a film.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just much more entertaining. Characters you already knew from a game that you played from your childhood.
Yep.
Give that one a watch, okay? That is worth your time.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. This thing bored the hell out of me.
Yeah.
It literally had these terrible exposition scenes that probably led with as much interest into the next fight scene. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Some of the fight scenes were so ridiculously long, I skipped through some parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't, after I got a gist of, oh, this person fights with a spear or this one fights with a shuriken. You know,
Is it a shuriken or a
whatever it's
is that
called?
what you're talking about the throwing stars?
Yeah,
kind of
that's-
things?
yeah.
They are called
Is
it
it
a
a
shuriken.
shuriken or a shuriken or
Yeah.
shuriken?
Hayuken.
Yeah.
But it's like,
No.
all I can think is that,
I did Christmas shopping while I was watching the movie.
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So I
You
mean,
made-
I
you
was.
actually
I was,
made
I
use of
watched
your
it.
time.
I did see it, but it was I was definitely like on Target and Amazon looking for toys for Christmas. So
Hey, you got to get it done sometime.
yeah,
And why not while you're watching this piece of trash?
yeah.
All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for this discussion. Keith, I know you're still looking.
I only
but-
see 1-star reviews.
All
I
right.
don't
Well,
know.
maybe
wow.
we haven't. Maybe we haven't.
Almost after I watched this movie, I watched The King on
Mhm.
Netflix. Awesome movie.
Which is what? That's not new, is it? Though.
It's not new. It's a
It-
Netflix original.
yeah.
It's like from maybe a year ago.
Okay.
It's got Robert Pattinson in it, and
okay.
I can't
All
think
right.
of the young guy's name that plays the King of England. He plays William, maybe.
I'm not sure.
But it was a very good movie. So
Okay.
if you want to watch a good movie,
That's actually one
yeah,
that's
go
worth
back
your
and
time?
watch that one. It's on there right now. It's in
All
4K. It's beautiful, very well shot. Joel Edgerton wrote the movie and
Ooh.
stars
Oh,
in it.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and he produced it. So
That's interesting.
yeah, if you
I
know who
have,
he is, he's
as
pretty
far,
awesome.
As far as this has been updated, I have never given lower than 1 star. I didn't look at anybody else.
I was gonna say, has anybody else though?
Doesn't
I
look
mean,
like
you
it.
you are our official review.
Yeah, we go by what you say.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
trying to
you
look
are our
through some of
official
these,
review.
Like the 1990 Captain America was 1 star. I'd watch that before this.
I'd watch the remake of Ben-Hur
Yeah.
Yes.
before I'd watch
Well,
this.
and I mean that okay.
Boo, a Medea Hollow. I would. I would 100. That. I mean, it's terrible, but it is hilarious. I would 100%
Look,
watch that.
there's no doubt.
again.
I mean, at the end of the day, a movie's got to entertain.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we've given terrible review scores to movies in the past that were just god awful, but they still entertain to a degree. And sometimes that's even worth a star.
The Dumbo remake, I gave 1 star.
I would not watch that again.
I would watch it before this movie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't watch either one.
I would watch Dumbo again before this movie just so I could hear, let's get ready to Dumbo. that scene alone is more entertaining than the entire movie.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, guys, I think we're ready to move on.
I'm ready.
That
to
was
our
the
headlines.
quickest that we've moved on to our headlines.
And we
in a
needed
long
to.
time.
I mean,
we
I don't
probably
know what
wasted
else,
I
I
think
don't know what
enough
else
time
to
on
say
that.
about this
Yeah.
movie other than I didn't really like any part
I'm
of
trying
it.
to figure out why in the hell we reviewed it to
Because we
begin with.
thought it would be
Nicolas Cage.
We
That
saw
was us.
Nicolas
Like,
Cage. I actually sent
whose
Brandon a
idea
text. And I
was
was like,
this?
"Why did we choose this movie?"
And
it's
he
like,
failed us.
And it was just because we saw Nicolas Cage and thought, "Yeah, that's a good idea."
And that was it.
All right, well,
That was all it was.
another good idea would be the headlines.
All right, let's move it on to our headline times. Let's go to it. That's right. It's our top stories for the week. We got 3 of them for you this week. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad we wrapped up that movie conversation because we got a lot
Because
to
there's
talk
some
about.
pretty good
And we got some
ones
good
in
headlines
there.
this week.
I like them.
Yeah, they're worth talking about.
Yeah.
All right, let's throw up that first one. So Mr. Kurt Russell's come out and has decided that, you know what, Hollywood needs to lay off the political talk for a while, okay? They're getting a little
It
too
is
political.
Interesting that we're starting to
You know?
see, and I mean, not a lot, but we are starting to see a very small amount of actors that are finally kind of coming forward and are like, you know what, we're tired of this crap too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
you have Kurt Russell now, Gina Carano, we talked about last
Go ahead,
week.
say his name.
Even Vince Vaughn, Chris Pratt.
Oh, thank you.
I was getting there. I
Oh.
was saving him for last.
He
Yeah.
just had an orgasm.
But
I
even
mean,
we
he
mentioned
just-
we mentioned
yeah,
Mark
went everywhere.
Wahlberg. So we
yeah,
got a small
Marky
handful.
Mark
yeah.
even. I can't believe it.
Yeah, so we have a small handful of actors that are finally starting to say, you know, we're tired of this crap too.
James Woods, man, he's been there for
Oh,
a long
James
time.
Oh,
Woods,
he's all-
but
yeah.
he's been an uber
Yes.
conservative
I
for
say
years.
James Woods and
so-
Clint Eastwood are a given.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
We know
Yeah.
for a while.
John Voight, he's a given.
And, and here's the thing: a lot of people, knock them as like the old crazies, but it's funny because hell, Clint Eastwood can still make a hell of
James
a
Wood
movie.
kind of is a little crazy.
Well,
but
and so is John Voight. I mean,
yeah,
Ye-
that's true.
Yeah.
Let's
But-
just be honest. I like the guy, but he's an old geezer. Okay, I'll just say that. I'll
No,
say
I
I'll put
agree.
it nicely.
But yeah, it is really cool that Kurt Russell has come out and he's like, I respect what he said because he said it hurts the craft. He said, as actors, we're supposed to embody a role, and the viewer's supposed to see you as that character.
Yeah.
So if every day you're spouting your own rhetoric, all the person's going to see when they see you on film is who you are about it. And I agree, because that's how I
Right.
see Alec Baldwin. I can't see Alec Baldwin as any character he plays anymore because he's so vocal all the
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
that all I see is, oh, there's Alec Baldwin. He's
well,
an
yeah,
ass.
and it's
Yes, I know it. What was the movie with Mark Wahlberg where he's the head of the task force or whatever? That was that.
You're not
Is
talking
that
about
freaking
The
The Departed?
You're talking
Yeah.
about The Departed.
Yeah,
that was The
Departed.
Departed.
I
Yeah,
actually
that's a
don't
good
mind
movie. Yeah.
Alec Baldwin in that.
Right? No, he's good.
He's good in that.
But it's just like,
But it
seeing
plays to
him,
his
that's
strengths
all I
because
think
he's a
of.
butthole.
Is, yeah,
Well,
exactly.
But no, I agree. I honestly just think he's typecast. I don't think he's a bad actor. It's just like honestly, I think one of his better roles is like Beetlejuice.
Yes.
I
Oh,
mean, and
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
that's
That's
back
actually
when,
one of the few roles of Alec Baldwin's that I'm like, okay, he is hilarious and well done, and
Yeah.
not
No,
just
he's
like
just
the
an ass in
same-
real life.
Oh, he is.
Yes.
Because I've watched the Seinfeld show with the comedians in the car getting
Oh,
coffee.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And there was an episode where he was on there, and he was such a jerk to
He's
the
a
freaking
prick.
waitress.
He's a prick.
that came to the table, and I was just like, man, if I was Jerry Seinfeld, I'd have got up and left.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a few years ago that they had released those voicemails that he left for his like daughter.
Oh,
And
I remember those.
and,
Yeah,
like he
is. He's
he
just
goes
an
off
a-hole.
on her, and of course, like, look, the problem is there's a double standard in Hollywood, and the fact is it we've kind of for the longest last 50, 60 plus years, celebrities became like the royalties, the royals over in England.
Yeah.
It's like you had the royals in England, and we had celebrities over here. And so we had to have somebody to look up to or replace the royal family, and we got celebrities. And it used to be just the star-studded like status of being known everywhere, and at least being just like a poster girl.
Like, look where Brad and Jennifer were eating today. I mean, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. And the funny thing is some of it was stupid, innocent, and harmless, and you'd be like, why do I care about this crap?
Well, it's
but
just-
it stupid and ridiculous. But now it gets to the point where now they have a platform, and now they believe, just like all these freaking huge companies out there think that they have to have some kind of social political agenda that they have to tout. I mean, look, Leo's a fantastic, phenomenal actor.
Yep.
But I don't think there's a single person. Same with Marlon Brando. But I lump them in the same crowd of, okay.
They don't have personalities.
They don't.
Just rhetoric. That's all they are, is just walking politics and views.
And it's like, here Marlon Brando is not accepting an Oscar for, I guess the Indian. And he has some kind of Native American rights thing where he won't go up there and accept it. And it's just, it was like, I think you started to see this turning of the tide around that time where the Hollywood golden age was stepping out. And then it turned towards this idea of, okay, no, celebrities have to have an essence or a meaning beyond the screen. And I like the way Kurt Russell puts it in this article. He's just sitting there and he's like, no, I consider myself a court jester. And he's like, the whole idea of a court jester was that they could go in, they were the one person that could go in and entertain the king, and they could even crack jokes and make little quips that people could understand and get along with because everybody understood it. But it was overtly like, okay, he's an entertainer.
Right.
That's exactly what you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And again, to go back to his point about, look, the whole idea of being an entertainer is that you do take on these different personas. And we got another headline coming up here in a sec where I think this kind of plays, hand in hand. And ultimately, it's just like, are we getting to a point where, celebrities in and of themselves, especially now that, Hollywood's kind of lost the A-list celebrity. I mean, do we really have huge stars anymore? Because that was another part Kurt Russell brought up. I mean, other than Leo and Brad Pitt, which are of a completely different generation, they're a completely different ilk. What is it right now? Who would you point to as like the stars of Hollywood?
Chris Pratt.
I knew you
I'm
were
glad
gonna
you
say
said that. I think social media
All of
has
the
made
Chris's,
it
honestly.
easier for these celebrities to. I feel like if you look at maybe 50 years ago, you didn't see the actors off screen. You didn't know what they were doing unless you read it in a tabloid or heard about it or whatever.
Right.
But I mean, you didn't see them every day on Twitter voicing their opinion about everything.
Right.
So I feel like even Chris Evans is very vocal on there. I have a problem looking at him as Captain America when he talks the way he does on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of tarnished my image of him as Captain America.
Yeah.
Which I know he's Captain America is a lot bigger than just Chris Evans. But,
of course.
In our day, he's the guy who kind of embodied Captain America for the last 12 years. So it's just he's ruining it for me with all the crap that he says on Twitter. And I feel like social media has given them that soapbox to really air out everything that they're feeling or everything that they I don't even think some of them really even buy into some of the stuff they say. They're saying it to get more likes and more retweets and all that kind of stuff. I don't even think they buy into some of their own rhetoric. But, 50 years ago, Marlon Brando, for instance, like when you saw him on screen, it was the only time you heard anything about him.
Right.
And then on Oscar night, you'd hear about it.
Right.
And
it was almost like he specifically, because that was the one night.
The one night that he could speak to millions of people.
Yeah.
And, well, even then it probably wasn't millions. But still, it's, they have a bigger soapbox on social media. So everything they think and feel is being aired out for everybody to hear. And I do think that ruins some of the images that we have of people like freaking Superman. Christopher Reeves, when I was a kid, that guy was like, a god. Like, I'm not, you know how I mean it.
Yes.
But I'm just like, he was an idol. He was someone that you looked up to. But I didn't see or hear what his thoughts were off screen ever.
Yeah.
So I kept that image of him. If he was on Twitter every day, if he was still alive and he was saying all this crap, it would ruin Superman for me.
Well, and that's the thing. Do you think it also then lends itself to the fact that, Kurt Russell being of a different generation and kind of even before the social media, because that's the thing. You almost have to depend on that as your resource of to get famous, to get recognized, to get known.
Yeah.
So there's huge stars today that are creative. Look at Key and Peele, from the YouTube era, from social media. It's like, so is it one of those things where, Kurt Russell kind of came up in a different time, or is it the industry has changed such that it no longer requires just the talent, but also the personality and the likability behind the talent?
Absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah. Keith, what about you?
I mean, I don't really have anything left to say that I haven't already said. I mean, it's just one of those actors should just act.
Agree. Yeah, agree. I think the best way you put it once before was, "You're a monkey, and when we say dance, dance, monkey, dance."
I'm not saying that they can't have political views or that they can't express those views when asked about it, or like I feel like there's a time and a place.
Yeah.
The Oscars or the Golden Globes is not the time nor the place, even though that's because that's where they
you're
want
right.
to make it.
And I think that's where the biggest argument is drawn, because they would say, well, that's the platform, though. That's where I'm going to be able to reach the most
you go
people.
on a late night show and someone asks you about something, then like, okay, that's okay. I mean, you're having an interview discussing about your life and your beliefs. When people are asking about you, then it's okay for you to talk about you and your beliefs. The Oscars are not all about you, even though, yes, you are getting a reward or an award for your work, but that's what it's about, really, is your work. Yes.
Yeah. About that
not your
particular
personal
role.
life.
That's that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
No, I would agree. I think those days are far behind us, unfortunately. I agree with Kurt Russell's sentiment, and I think he's right and smart in throwing that out there. I think Hollywood would do itself a favor of, it's like, hey, look, if that's a particular perspective, then yeah, make a movie about it and push that narrative and see how well it does at the box office. Yeah. Because we see those movies all the time, and we already know the left-leaning nature of Hollywood. I just think it's sad because it's like you don't represent an ulterior perspective, and I think that ultimately that's where people get hung up on. Okay, I don't give a crap what you say, and it's like you have these two camps of, well, I'm going to go to the ones who crowd around me and make me a bigger star because they do believe in my personal beliefs, and you have other people like my parents who don't know Chris Evans or what the hell the last thing was he ate for breakfast and can give a damn.
Right.
And it's like, but yet they could see a movie like Captain America and think, oh yeah, he's a good actor.
Yeah.
And for the most part, yeah, I disassociate. Like, I mean, I can watch or read or listen to music or do whatever, and I don't care about what the person's political beliefs are. Like, that doesn't affect my feeling or enjoyment of their work.
Yeah.
But it is annoying to, if you do watch the Oscars or you do watch, some red carpet event, or you do go to a midnight release of a film and it opens up with some, just like HBO Max with Gone with the Wind, some stupid, it's like, okay,
half-hour long.
That is when I have a problem. It's like, I can disassociate. It's like, I don't care what anybody believes. If you're a good actor, your work will speak for itself. It's
fine. I think that's kind of the sad nature that we're in, and it's sad that Kurt Russell's thoughts and expression would be lost among most, because ultimately what it really comes down to is like you saying, yeah, I could disassociate the actor from the role and all this stuff.
Except for when they refuse to let you. Because there are times when they want to shove it down your throat.
And that's exactly my point, is it's like, well, now they're almost forcing it to the point where we as a consumer and as a person who indulges in this medium and enjoys it, we no longer can enjoy it without supporting the likes of those who want to support, who think we're supporting their message. Yeah. And it's like, unfortunately, the only way we kind of have to counteract that is by saying, okay, I'm not going to consume it anymore.
Well, that's going back
that's
to
the sad thing.
Alec Baldwin. It's like, I can't disassociate Alec Baldwin with his roles because he makes sure that his beliefs are in every role he does almost now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And like what I said about Chris Evans, Knives Out is a fantastic film, and I loved his role in that movie, and that's a movie where his acting definitely, I'm like, man, he's a hell of an actor when he wants to be.
Yeah.
But off screen, he's a jerk.
Yeah.
And there's other times, though, when it's a character, like I said, like Captain America, that I'm kind of like, this is somebody kids are supposed to idolize and people are supposed to look up to and all that. And then off screen, you're acting the way that you do. To me, yes, I can try to disassociate that with his character. But for some people, I can understand completely how that would kind of tarnish the image. But it
can
again,
definitely put a sour taste in your mouth. I'm not trying to say that it won't.
But there are
it can,
some that make sure that every role they take, they got to get that dig in at one. And the thing they're doing now is they're turning roles down. So you've got actors that are, and I think that wouldn't even happen if it wasn't for social media. If they weren't such a didn't have a presence on there,
has like a direct effect on that.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But I mean, they're saying, oh, I'm not gonna star in that movie because you want me to play a disabled person, or because you want me to play a Native American and I'm not really Native American, or whatever. And it's like you're turning down a role. So basically, you're refusing to work and do your job as an actor. Is it really because you have that firm belief,
Yeah,
or
could you
are
truly challenge
or are
yourself
you
to-
just saying that because people are going to give you thumbs ups on Facebook and Twitter for turning it down?
Well,
So
I mean,
that's-
it's exactly. It's kind of it leads you into a perspective of what is the point of your job,
Right.
And it's like at the end of the day, you're an actor. You're supposed to be able
act.
to take on any role and make it believable for the people on the other side of the screen to say, that's who I think that person
and
is.
not everything has to be a controversy anyway. Just like the stupid witches thing with her having like
The
3
fingers?
fingers.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
I'm like
Yes.
anybody who saw that is like they're making fun of disabled people. No, she's supposed to be
No.
a witch. Like,
yeah,
I don't,
Yeah.
yeah.
like that's stupid.
Where were these people, with Lieutenant Dan?
Oh,
And
I
I'm
know,
just like,
I know,
he really
exactly.
had legs, so he can't play Lieutenant Dan. I'm just
Exactly.
like, well, he's an actor. That's
Yeah.
his job, is to play people that he's
and
not.
to make it believable.
Yes.
And I can't tell you how many times
God.
I've seen Forrest Gump and
Freaking
it
Bryan
still fools
Cranston
me.
in that. What was the one with Bryan Cranston and where he's in a wheelchair?
Oh yeah.
The Upside.
yes.
That's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what? I mean, this guy played that role as someone who was disabled. He played it perfectly.
Yeah.
But show me a disabled person that can act like Bryan Cranston. I'm
well,
sorry.
And that actually happens to be one of our headlines.
Well, let's
It
go
is.
to
Let's
it.
get on to that headline. I want to talk about it because the fact is are we at a position where you can't fake it till you make it? Because the real question here is, what is the role of an actor? And there was a movie that just came out. It's actually, it just came out on Hulu. It's called Run. It stars Sarah Paulson. Now, granted, I will say this is not controversial specifically because I think the creators or the producers of the film were seeking it out to be. But it's interesting because I think you're going to see this is the behavior of normal people who are just looking to make a break. And the fact was, as the producers wrote a role where the movie's called Run, and it stars a handicapped girl in a wheelchair, and she's trying to escape her mother, who is quite, controlling. Almost think Kathy Bates in Misery. And that's basically what she is to protect her daughter and keep her out of the world.
Sarah Paulson, she plays a good psycho. So.
Yeah, well, and I will say, like in the trailer, it creeps me out. It looks like a good movie.
Sarah Paulson's a good actress. I'll give her that.
Absolutely, but it's funny because what they did is they said during the audition audition process, they were specifically looking for a girl that could
was
play this
actually
role who was
disabled.
actually disabled.
Because a person who could walk can't play somebody who sits in a wheelchair.
Well, but no, here's the thing. Here's where I'll give them credit. They said they were particularly going for a look that they wanted certain scenes in the film where she is crawling, where she's not using her
They
legs.
wanted to be
They wanted it to
genuine.
be absolutely genuine and believable. And they did. They wanted to hand the role to somebody who wouldn't normally have a normal role.
And I mean, and that is admirable.
Right.
But
And I don't mind that because within their purview and what the story's about, I don't mind. But then what they easily fell into, and the trap is that they held auditions and they said clearly that people were coming to the auditions in wheelchairs acting handicapped. And they said they would look them up, and they said they could see within like 2 hours ago on Instagram.
They were running
like,
along the beach.
running on a beach.
That's
people
crazy.
were
It's
lying and saying they
Yeah.
were disabled to get the role in the movie. Yeah.
So, and that's kind of the question, though, is that
if they could act well enough to fool the people doing the auditions, then maybe they deserve that role.
That's true.
yeah, and that's really what it comes down to. Is it's like, look, I know what they're going for, and I get it.
I mean,
But at the end of the day, what is the job of an actor?
I do think it's admirable that they want to give someone disabled that chance. And if they're a great actor, then by all means, yes, give them that chance because they may never have that opportunity. And if they can actually act, that's awesome. But if you can't if you do all these auditions and you can't actually find somebody that is a good actor, then go with somebody you know is a good actor.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not being mean-spirited or racist or bigoted or any of that to say, well, the best actor we could find actually can walk because their job is to act.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I
I think
I
think it
don't
actually
understand.
does the whole narrative and the perspective they're trying to play a disservice because it's like, while you're saying we need to have this person who portrays this perfectly and give them a chance, I'm like, yeah, but isn't your whole goal and the point to convey to someone that they understand this person's blight or this trial that they have to overcome or this hurdle? Or as I hear a lot of disabled people say, I don't have disabilities, I have abilities. And they try to rewrite the narrative, and that's fine. I'm glad that you have a great outlook on life.
Yeah.
But wouldn't your goal as a disabled person or a handicapped person be to make sure that other people understand it. I mean, hell, I was at work today and they had an interview with Michael J. Fox, and he was talking about Parkinson's disease, and he was all about how, you know, he's part of his foundation and part of, you know, the last part of his life now that he's not full-time acting anymore is simply to spread this awareness so that people understand how to approach Parkinson's disease people and to know exactly how to you know, react to them and not be, you know, weirded out by it. And it's funny because I'm like, so you're telling me that if a person comes forward with a good faith effort to understand, you know, it's like Bryan Cranston wasn't a meth dealer, but yet he plays a fantastic one on TV. And it's like, I'm sure he had to dive into a world of corruption and get to a deep, dark place of making. There's a scene specifically in Breaking Bad he talks about actually having to watch someone die. I don't want to give it away for those who haven't seen it, but he had to watch someone die, and he said he has a kid. I don't want to give the gender away. He has a kid that was that person's age, and he said he felt the emotion when he was in that scene of him watching his own kid die. And he said it was the hardest scene for him to shoot because he literally, in the moment of acting, her face, I gave it away. Yeah. Her face popped up in the scene. But it was just one of those things where it's like, I don't think there's a single actor alive that won't explain to you exactly where they go in these deep, dark places to get to the moments to create a believable scene for people to say, oh my gosh, like that's exactly how I would react, or that's exactly what it must feel like to be in that moment. And yet here we are with people saying, well, no. All that time is done. We now need to give the role to an Indian or a Native American or to a black person or to a woman or to a lesbian, a gay, a trans. Like,
we have to check all those boxes.
Yes. I mean, this goes directly against the whole initiative of what the damn Academy's inclusion efforts are.
I have no problem with the representation. People are like, well, it's nice to be able to watch a movie where someone like me's in it. It's like, that's fine, but does it have to be acted? Like, if you want the representation, shouldn't you be happy that the film is representing like who you are, and it doesn't matter that the actor? I mean, that's like when Scarlett Johansson quit that one film for playing. She was going to play a trans character, but she's not trans, so can't do that. And it's like, but wouldn't you rather there be that representation than the movie not happen at all because they can't find the right actor that is trans? Yeah. I mean,
well, and their whole argument is specifically that, oh, well, we have enough awareness now. Those people, the whole point is now we got to shed light because those people are out there, and we now need to give the roles to them. And my only argument to that is, but who are you making your movies for? And ultimately, who are you trying to appeal to?
Statistically, when you look at, like, compared to the entire population of America and the amount of actors that exist, and then you look at these small groups like the trans community, or like any minority, the percentage-wise is already smaller, and then the percentage of that group that can actually act is going to be smaller because the percentage of people in America that can act isn't that huge.
I'm glad you brought up the idea of a group, because it's like, well, at what point are you going to limit how shrunk down these groups become?
Yeah. Well, that group is your audience.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's how small do you want your audience to be?
True.
Is the way I mean, that's how it.
Because the movies
do
have to make money too. Yeah.
But I mean, the Peanut Butter Falcon, for instance, that was a movie with a great actor in it who was disabled. He is a fantastic. Was it Zachary
Callison?
Something like He was fantastic, and I don't think they could have found a non-disabled person that could have played that role as good as him. So I give that to them. But again, look back into the 80s. Dustin Hoffman as Rain Man.
Gottsagen.
You know, what is it?
Zach Gottsagen.
Gottsagen, yeah. Fantastic actor. I hope to see him in other films. But again, I'm not going to get him to play Superman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you know what that would be outside of his
it's
ability.
unrealistic.
Yeah, it's unrealistic.
It literally is outside the realm.
But I don't have a problem
reality.
with Sean Penn in I Am Sam, which
he went full retard.
He went full
retard.
You can't say that.
I know that's
you
right.
Can if you're
Robert Downey Jr. Put blackface on to play a black guy and making fun of a guy who plays a black guy.
Yes.
Like, I mean, that it's hilarious, but I don't feel like today. No. Even though that was just 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't feel like he could
within
do that
the generation
today.
of the people who are raised in these arguments.
And just like Scarlett Johansson, she's against that, but she whitewashed Ghost in a Shell.
Yeah.
You know, like she didn't have a problem playing
that
that
was
role.
only 2 or 3 years ago.
Right. So
well, and I will say it has to be a decent movie to gain traction for people to want to cancel it.
Yeah.
They don't cancel bad movies like Ghost in the Shell.
That's true. That's
That's
true.
the only thing there. But no, I completely agree, and I think it is.
Jiu-Jitsu didn't get canceled.
No. Well, they just offended everybody in that movie. I mean, that movie was awful. No, I completely agree. I think it's because to me, it doesn't further your cause. It further alienates people from thinking or even seeing things from your perspective. Mm-hmm. And if your whole goal and initiative is to say, well, we want people to understand what the struggle is. But I mean, like you said, with the Peanut Butter Falcon role, it's like, yes, that was specifically about a kid with Down syndrome.
Right.
So it made sense that he play in that role. But you wouldn't expect him to be in the role of Superman. And you have these crazy, odd... Well, who's to say he can't? It's like, because everybody knows he can't. Yeah. And if you want us to get to the nitty-gritty of it...
on the outside of his clothes. Yeah. You know, he wears tidy whiteys throughout half that movie.
It's like Captain Underpants.
I just think you're a bigot because...
exactly.
Because you're saying he cannot be Superman.
It's like literally saying, I'm shattering the dreams of someone who is in a wheelchair, and I'm going to tell them, sorry, kids, you can't play Major League Baseball. Well, what do you mean? It's like, how's he going to run the bases? Yeah. Just asking. Do you want to get into the...
Well, they'll change the rules of baseball to where you can roll the bases.
And that's it. Here's the
thing.
There's
a wheelchair league for basketball.
There is.
There is.
Yeah. And probably one for baseball, too.
Exactly. And you have a league where those people can compete.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I think that's just segregation, and it's wrong.
It is. It's just so... It's the type of freaking black hole you have to go into.
I know.
It's insane. This whole identity politics and this group think, it's ridiculous. And the fact is we're getting to a point in our culture where, yes, normal, like you said, at the end of the day, the goal of any filmmaker is not just art. Because if you want to continue being a filmmaker, you actually have to have people who enjoy your films.
Yes.
And if you make films that audiences aren't going to go see because they're filled with a bunch of political correctness that doesn't make any sense, people can tell when they're being fed BS. And that's exactly what's going to happen, is they just won't show up and see your films.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of where we're at in Hollywood. We're at a point where it's being shoveled down our throats so much that you almost have to resist by saying, okay, I'm just not going to give in and see this.
I know. I'm telling you, it's a dark, decrepit place, but it's a little bit okay.
Decrepit?
Yeah. But it's a little bit okay because the Peanut specials are on TV now.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. It's
the only little bit of wholesomeness left in this world, okay?
It's the one glimmer of hope we have. All right, guys, I think we are ready to move on to our unique weekly segment. Let's roll that big, beautiful Bane footage.
Multimedia.
Multimedia.
Oh, yeah.
Multimedia, Keith.
I like this one.
You do? You
I
like
do.
this one?
Yeah.
I went to Keith's face, but he didn't do anything funny.
I feel like this one is piggybacking off of
it is
a little bit.
Off of last week's?
Yeah.
I totally intentionally did that.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't... It's... Sean likes it. I'm indifferent towards it. I don't think it's bad. I don't.
Damn. Thanks.
He's like, I'm not gonna say I hate it.
Probably because I'm one of those
favorite.
that don't install updates right away. Because I just
this will be good.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually I am more on the side of I absolutely do.
Oh yeah.
To my own detriment.
Oh yeah.
And I am one of those that I absolutely
when I get
an update
around
drops.
Oh yeah, when I get around to it, I
love when that little exclamation mark shows
up
on my phone telling me there's a new software update.
And
I'm like, oh sweet.
Actually,
what are
I
they
got
adding?
that
features.
And they didn't
I
add
got
anything.
that earlier today, and it's like, it's right here.
Stuff
Software
that they should have
update will
already
be
show
fixed.
it.
Yeah,
show it
here.
Here,
Make sure there's nothing else on there.
Yeah, don't show.
Let's see. I got Daily Wire.
update.
Daily Wire just tweeted. Let's see. We'll clear the Daily Wire out and Fox News. People are going to be like, "Oh God, she's got
man.
Daily
You
Wire." I know.
conservative.
He's got the most conservative phone.
I'm just saying that.
Just
literally,
shut off the stream now.
Literally, it was Daily Wire, Fox News software update. People are going to be like, "We can't trust this guy."
What is that?
But it said, it went black.
What is it? iOS 3 or 14.2?
14.2.1.
Yeah.
2.1. I think I have that one.
Yeah, it
I already
says it will be auto let's see, iOS 14.2 includes over 100 new emoji, because that's important.
Yeah.
Introduces
Absolutely.
8 new wallpapers and brings other new enhancements and bug fixes for your iPhone.
I already
And
got
it's going
that.
to,
I didn't even know we got new wallpaper.
It's going to auto install. I don't even like.
He doesn't care.
I don't even like. There's things from like the last iOS that I probably still have never explored.
But
yeah.
Well,
Like from
I
a year
can
ago.
understand
With
that
that.
one. I mean, there's always a lot.
Well, that's
that
why
I don't
that's why I don't really like. I don't rush to do the updates because I'm like I'm never going to.
To
mess
me,
with
it's always
half
the
of it.
bug fixes, though.
Yeah.
It's like
No,
the
no.
bug fixes and the security patches.
Yeah.
If I know there's going to be something major that I like with the PS5, like when they finally patch that,
Yeah.
I will like that type of update. I
Yeah,
will
we
like,
need that.
Like
Sony.
Insomniac.
Absolutely.
They finally released the patch to let you transfer your Spider-Man PS4 save to the PS5.
Oh, good.
They did that on Sunday. I downloaded that right away.
I didn't know that.
Well, yeah. I downloaded that one right away because I wanted to be able to play the PS5 version of Spider-Man
Yeah.
during my Thanksgiving break.
Same here.
Gotcha.
I
yeah,
didn't
see,
know
I
that.
didn't have
You
that on
didn't
the
have it,
PS4.
So now my
doesn't mu-
68% completion
There
is
you
on the
go.
PS5.
Yes.
So I can finish that game and jump into Miles
So don't be
Morales.
lying to me.
I'm excited.
Don't you dare lie to me and say you can't do it with GTA. You can't
can do it with
with
any game.
You can do
Yeah,
it with
you can
any
do it.
freaking game
It's
in the world.
based on the producer, and because Insomniac is owned by Sony, Sony was kind of like, okay, we should probably do this because fans are throwing a fit and they want it. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, duh.
Well, and
Rockstar, though, I can kind of see them like, well,
no BS.
Here's
I'm
the thing.
already spending money on the
I'm
game.
just saying, I don't
Why
understand.
the hell do I got to start
I think half
over?
the people that were watching just dropped out when we started talking about nerd stuff.
Yeah.
Like they just go. They
But
left.
I agree though. My thing is, I have to buy the game anyways. Why does it matter if my save transfers? Like if I'm
Agreed.
going to buy it, you're already getting
Yeah.
my money. So why do you care if I transfer
No, I
my
agree.
save file?
But no, here's the thing though. Oh, go ahead.
I was
Go
going to
ahead,
just
Sean.
ask: is there any device that you are hesitant about updating the software or firmware or whatever it may be? Is there one that in particular that you're kind of like, ooh, I don't know if I should do
Okay,
that
well,
yet?
but
trying to
the
think.
Windows PC that we
Windows.
stream this on,
Yeah.
any Windows update, I'm always skeptical.
Yeah,
And-
Well, there's
I
one of
agree
those
with
every
that.
day.
well, true.
There's
there really is
more than just every day. It might be like every
2 or
couple
3
hours.
times a day. Yeah, Windows updates are ridiculous.
But
We
it's
got a
funny
new
because they
update.
have these feature updates that they have ever since Windows 10 has been out. They have like these. There's supposed to be 4 major periods of the year, but usually they have like a May preview, and it comes out in like the spring. But it's hugely glitchy.
Well,
And
that's
then what
then
ends
they
up
gotta
happening
release
is they-
updates to fix the update.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and what ends up happening is they tell people if you're on like kind of a workstation computer or anything, do not update. They say wait until the fall. The fall's when there's a stable update, and that's usually what happens. And
Which is
honestly,
really sad.
working in an IT field, it's kind of good because when I get the upper bosses to say, you go ahead and push this update, then I'm like, okay, I'll go home and do that now. Because
Yeah.
then I know it's safe.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, yeah, that's really kind of the only one. My phone, even Mac OS Big Sur on the laptop here, I was hesitant because it is a whole new
I
OS.
still haven't,
but I did it.
It downloaded it. I still haven't installed it.
You just don't care to?
I mean, I just haven't taken the time to install it.
And
I
I
was-
get
well,
that.
because
See,
I
I
bet-
wouldn't be able to do that, man. I'd be up till 2 a.m. waiting for
Yes.
that
Here's
to
the thing,
finish.
I'm the same way.
It downloaded, and then like that's when I went to the hunting trip, and it didn't install properly because that's when it kicked my Plex off or whatever. So
Yeah.
then I was like, okay. But then when I noticed it hadn't installed, it asked if I wanted to install it. But then I was downloading screeners, so I'm like, no, because I don't want to have to kick. I don't want to have to
From
stop.
our screener website.
I was
Yeah.
like, what's more important
Make
here,
sure you
Big
point that
Sur,
out.
which may not even work, or you know?
See,
so.
I updated my Roku the other day. I was like, oh, sweet, Roku 9.4 is out. Like, it was this big deal. Adds a bunch of new crap. And after the update, my audio from anything I'm watching on the Roku, the audio cuts in and out. Like every 3 or 4 minutes.
See,
it'll
you
like
fool. Shouldn't
it'll
have
duck out
updated.
for a second.
Well, and that's the weird
so
thing.
it's like, is
I-
it my HDMI cable or is it your freaking update?
It
you
could
know?
be, and I think to me, I also am hit and miss with regard to depending on the brand. Like, for instance, Samsung, look, I know they got their Android software. I would trust an update on their Galaxy devices. On my TV, I'm like, it can't do anything else. I'm like, I don't know why you're pushing an update.
There are things I'll set, like
And
the PlayStation by Vizio to auto
that one,
update. Because my Vizio auto updates. And I actually do, like, so far, every update Vizio has had has been worth it. So I actually,
because
another
they
one.
add apps,
Yeah.
to your smart apps, and then, but it usually doesn't improve your TV at all. It just adds apps.
It just adds things
Extra functionality.
like
Right.
Apple TV Plus,
Yes.
HBO Max. Like when you finally get
it added
updates,
AirPlay.
stuff.
AirPlay
Yeah.
2 got added, so
I
that's
was
one
excited
like
about that.
actual.
But see, and that's kind of the same. Like for consoles, I'm that way because I do. The reason I think I trust that more is because I think, for one, there are some times where it's imminent. Like we're currently in that situation with the PS5, where
You need it.
you need the
There
update.
better be an update
It's soon, very soon, like within the next couple weeks, because it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's absolutely absurd. But then I think there's also the other situation where, because there's so many people that depend on these devices and they have such huge publicity online and social media and stuff from people streaming, and just obviously they're the next gen tech. It's one of those things where it's like they have to get it right, because if they don't and they brick a lot of people's systems, you just killed that generation in that console.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I think that's why I'm also more eager to do it with consoles, because I'm like, if they don't get this right, then they're really screwing the pooch. And they're almost that's kind of how I am
their
with
business is more dependent on getting it right than Windows, who's like, well, where else are you going to turn?
read right before the PS5. Well, I read right before the PS5 launch. It's like Sony's biggest sector of legitimate profit is now coming from PlayStation.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, they don't have much leeway to screw this up.
It really is. I mean, it's so much so they've even talked about selling off their film department because they haven't been doing so well there. So they have to make sure.
AMC's closing.
Yeah. Well, they've been talking about selling the film department for 2 or 3 years.
They
now.
have.
They still
and,
haven't done
and
it.
I don't think they will.
But,
Because honestly, truth be told, like, I like Sony's films. I think a lot of what they publish and produce and distribute is actually pretty decent quality. And it's not a lot. I'll be honest, they're not huge, like, fan pleasers in terms of, like, they're not huge blockbusters.
007?
Yeah, they don't have.
But they have
That's
a lot
the
of
only blockbuster they have.
right.
Yeah.
They have a lot of great indie flicks though that are actually
Yeah.
very well done. And I think
They have Spider-Man.
that's
That's all they got.
They need to sell that,
But
to Marvel.
I'm
and
totally.
Disney.
Oh man, that would be fantastic.
Yeah,
would be
just
good.
let them
That'd
have
be
it. Come on.
Just do it. But no, I'm definitely one of those that upgrades immediately. If I find out there's one,
I
I'm
guess,
like, let's do it.
I mean, I'm not quick
I'll
to
take the
upgrade,
risk.
but depending on what the item is, like I said, and I know like what the upgrade is, I will be fast because
See, like
I want it.
I even do like the beta stuff. Like
See, I
y'all
don't-
have
I
seen me.
I don't do
I'll,
beta.
I'll
I never
put
do the
beta
beta.
on my phone that I use every day, and
Yeah.
they say like if you're gonna install this, install
Make
it
a
on
backup.
don't put it on your
Yeah.
everyday device or
Yeah.
whatever. But I've been doing that for years, and
Yeah.
I've never had any kind of a failure or anything that's like disabled my
That
phone.
bricks your phone.
Yeah, nothing like that.
And I agree. I mean, to me, that's just the level of risk. Like, I've thought about doing that with some of Adobe's products, with like the Creative Cloud stuff. But even those, it's like I can usually wait because the update is not so pressing or the feature's not so great.
Yeah.
But there have been a few features where I'm like, I may try that out in the beta. But I will specifically, like, when you go and save a project, it specifically is like, this is from an older version. Once you save it in this, you can't go back. And I'm
Right.
like,
No.
okay, copy paste,
Yeah.
and I'll make a different
I've
version.
enjoyed
Right.
this conversation a lot more now that we've had it.
See,
there you go.
You came around to
I
it.
didn't dislike it. I didn't really have any opinion towards it until we started talking about it.
Plus, I'll be honest, I'm just a Class A nerd, and I want to be that person who, like, when somebody asks, I'll be like, well, actually,
Well,
this is what really the update fixed.
update 12.1.3.
And I'm only like that with Apple products, really.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's gonna do it for this episode.
All right.
I'm glad you liked the segment, Keith.
Yeah.
You
He
know
didn't
what?
hate it.
He didn't.
He didn't hate it.
I'm glad he didn't hate it. That's damn
You know
right.
what else? It is 10 o'clock.
It's 10
It's
o'clock
9:59.
on the dot.
On
Yeah.
the dot.
We
You
got
know,
1
we-
minute to close this out.
Well, we got
Right
Red
at
Moon
an hour.
Productions email right there at the bottom of the screen.
Do we?
RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com. Right down there.
You know what
See
else
it down
we
there?
have besides an email?
What?
Christmas reviews coming up.
Yes.
Because next
Thanksgiving
week,
is this week?
Yeah, next week starts our Christmas reviews.
Now, let me ask you guys this. I'm willing to go over 1 minute just so that we could get this out.
Okay.
Can we please go ahead and name the 4 Christmas movies that you're going to review so that our
Yeah.
listeners and viewers know what they need to watch?
I'm fine with that.
I mean, I was going to go ahead and name
The next 2.
the next.
Well, here's the thing.
I was thinking about.
We have the 4 Christmas movies figured out. We do not have each week's individual movie figured out.
Right.
Regular
Well,
movie.
next week we're going to be
So.
reviewing Hillbilly Elegy as the regular review.
Yes.
But we're going to do Christmas Chronicles 2 for Christmas.
Yeah, Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell. I was thinking about trying to keep one as a surprise, but I don't really know, like the main one for Christmas. But I don't really know how to do that because we're going to have to compare the others to that one a bit too.
Here's what we could
I
do.
think we just go ahead and announce them. I agree with Sean.
Well, what we could do though is maybe announce them next week, but we could tell them what the theme is and see if they can guess it throughout the week.
I think we should discuss this off the show, and then if we want to give them the whole list of them. But yeah, next week is Christmas Chronicles.
Yeah.
And the theme, I guess we'll go ahead, is famous Santa Clauses, famous actors who have played Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Every review this year is going to be about a movie focusing on a film
big
or series.
an A-list actor.
Yeah, A-list
playing
actor.
Santa
Yeah.
Claus.
An A-list actor.
And
Starting with Kurt
and not
Russell.
voice actors, because I know some Santas have been voice acted by famous. We mean live action.
Live action.
Kurt Russell is a big name, and he plays Santa Claus in the first Christmas Chronicles and now the sequel.
Right, not a bad movie.
So no,
Yeah,
I've
Christmas
watched it
Chronicles
about
wasn't
12
bad.
I have
times
not
so
seen the
far this
sequel
year.
yet,
Man.
but the
So-
sequel has gotten good reviews so far too. So I'm
Well, and
looking
here's the
forward
thing.
to it.
Looking forward to it.
Did we review that one officially? I
Yeah.
think it's on our
Yeah.
website.
We did review the
you
first
can check
Christmas
it out on our
Chronicles.
website,
Last year, actually.
redmoonproductions.com.
So
Oh yeah, head
Yeah.
there and check out all of our old past reviews.
So famous Santa Clauses, and Mabel will tell you all the movies next week.
That's I think we got it. And Hillbilly Elegy, which is available now, streaming tonight.
We've now gone
On
2
Netflix.
minutes past.
Okay,
That's
we're
okay.
done. We're done. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And
Keith Cheatham.
so until next time, I don't know. We're done.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.